Good day everyone. Today I will talk about the conflict of interest between the boomers, the older generation, to the young people in New Zealand and Australia, millennials, Z generation, and basically people below age 35, 40, compared to people ages 50, 60 plus. And also that will explain a lot of issues, especially social issues that happen in these days. And it will make sense to you why things are not going in favor of the young people. It's time for you to create life according to your rules. CLATYR, create life according to your rules. So we probably need to understand that the times of our parents, it was times of prosperity. Prosperity, hopefully you hear me. It was time of prosperity in a lot of aspects. So if you look at men in the 60s, they didn't struggle much to find a woman for a relationship. Also, they didn't struggle to afford a house. Yes, most of the time the man was working and it was single household and the woman was at home with kids. Simple as. So he didn't need to struggle to find a woman and have like hundreds or thousands of swipes in the dating apps, women that ignore him. No, he just was meeting someone at the local cafe or restaurant or bar, and they get married from there. Today is completely different. And also the financial situation was way better back then. It was way easier to afford the house and the basics. And families who from the 70s and 80s and 90s who actually, yes, they worked hard, some of them of course, who managed to buy one or two houses, with the current economic situation condition, house that costed them pennies to repay mortgage after a few years, today tripled and quadrupled in price just a matter of 10 plus years, compared to wages that remained stagnant. That happened all around the Western world in different levels, but in Australia and New Zealand, it's just the gap became really strong. So what happened, the boomers who got the houses and the previous stock investment and stuff, they got very, very rich. And if they have few houses, so for them it's actually, they are sorted out for pensions. That's why in New Zealand and Australia you see that most of the people who drive in these expensive luxury motorhomes that cost $200,000 are actually older people. You barely see any young couple that in their 30s driving these huge luxury motorhomes. It's because the boomers have lots of money, and of course, not all of them. Of course, some made different mistakes in finance, there are different circumstances in life. So again, not all of them, but whoever was smart, yes, and just worked hard, bought a house, or maybe two houses, he actually sorted financially for life. And they never struggled with the housing or needed to rent. All right? And another thing, we see that boomers and the elderly people are the ones who are the majority these days. And they are the ones who are in control of the politics and society and the policies. So usually when elderly people get older, they don't want a lot of new things, they don't want innovation, they just thinking about how to preserve whatever is. they don't want change. Yeah? They want some kind of safety and security. That's what they are focusing on. So then you see the last 10 years, things are got worse for life, but for who? It got worse mostly for the younger generations. And there is a cause for it. And the cause for it is actually the elderly and the boomers actually interested for that to happen because they have interest. They're benefiting from this situation. Very simple, I'll give you an example. So let's say a boomer that have two houses, one house that he lives, one house for investment. Of course, he will want that it will be as many people as possible to want that house. If it will be 40, 50 people that are competing for that house for rent, it will be better for him because he can raise the rent, and also the rental market in general will skyrocket, and that's what you see happening. So if he will struggle to rent out the house, unfortunately we'll need to lower the price of the rent. And again, because a lot of boomers bought houses when they costed peanuts, a lot of them actually mortgage free even. Yeah, so some of them paying mortgage, some of them recent investors, but a lot of boomers have just owning their own houses, and that's it. So actually whatever they get for the rent, they just pay some tax from that, and that's the earning. So their life is kind of easy. And also the house that cost million or 2 million, yes, they actually, it's their pension, it's their savings for healthcare or whatever. So they don't really need the pension. Even though pension is good, but their main pension is the house. So what's happening these days? Unfortunately, for most young people, if they save for KiwiSaver or for pensions, most of the odds, when they'll be 70 or 80, they won't have a pension. It's a simple math, because the numbers of New Zealanders and the reproduction is very low. So when they'll be 70, it won't be enough children who support the tax system with the pensions. And the pension funds will be very low because people are living longer years. So it means will be not enough money to pay for pensions for old people. When the young people will become older, I mean, it's in 40 years. But now, the boomers actually living in the best times because their housing worth a lot, it's their pension, they have maybe few houses, their pension funds also skyrocketing because of the inflation of the prices and the stock market. So financially they are really, really well. And of course they are interested to keep that. And that comes instead of the welfare and the future of the younger generations. Because if the young people want to earn a lot and buy their own houses, so to who they are going to rent out those houses that they have? And also if the young people will be able to buy houses, it means that the value of the property needs to go down because it's way too high. And wages probably won't go high as the houses. So it means that we have huge conflict of interest between what the boomer and the elder generation want and what the millennials and younger generation wants. And who is dictating the rules are actually the older generation, and they are the ones who are the cause that we have all these problems these days. And again, this is my theory, my opinion, and my logic. So the other thing is immigration. it's really good for boomers and the elderly people to have immigration, because kind of think, okay, who's going to treat me in the older age? Most of the odds is going to be the immigrants, because they're happy to be paid very low wage, minimum wage, work in elderly care jobs, and of course they can afford that. The boomers can afford that. So, and a lot of local people, of course, the young people don't want to work in those jobs, because those jobs don't give them prosperity. They can't buy a house, they can't raise a family, they need something more senior in order to kind of go through life. So immigration is actually very beneficial for the boomers regarding the healthcare and the pensions and regards the age, because a lot of the time also migrants bring their children and the kids, because the young people today, the locals not reproducing, so they need someone else to reproduce. And actually the migrants usually bring in already the children with them. And also they need the migrants to occupy their inflated price homes and pay the rent. So if, let's say, will be no migrants, it means that will be no one who occupy the houses in the highly inflated price. And there will be no workers that will work in the low wage jobs as well. And also that means that will be less and less people who will contribute to the pension funds. So that's why all the policies are made that the houses prices will remain high and will continue to rise. Yes, I know, young people, it's annoying, but it's what's happening in the Western world. Yes, there is a chance, of course, there's always a chance that things will change for the better, but because the boomers and the elderly people are in power, they won't want that, because human nature, especially in these days, this age, is thinking about yourself. And when you live in society that thinks about yourself and not about the community and others, yeah, that's what happens. They're thinking about themselves, their own benefit, their own profit, and that comes against the opportunity for young people to have the same opportunity that they had. But again, also be taught in society that, oh, we need to respect the elders are also the smartest. But yes, but on the other hand, look at the facts, what is happening. So recently, in New Zealand, they kind of removing the foreign buyer ban from New Zealand. It means that foreigners can buy houses here as well. And that's another decision that just simplify that who is in control and who the policies are in favor. And again, the elderly and the boomers don't care that you as young people will leave the country. This is the truth. They don't care, because you are going to be replaced by cheap immigration. Cheap migrant, that's why you see these skyrocket migrants. So yes, a lot of migrants also leaving, and the numbers are going down, because again, how it works, they hear about opportunities in New Zealand, they spend thousands of dollars to arrive here, and they're struggling to find work, they spend all their money. Some of them maybe got visas, some didn't. And then they're going away. And then the next suckers are coming and doing the same thing. And because in India and China, there are billions of people, yes, both of them. So you have a lot of people that you can extract money. So they'll come 1 or 2 years, pay the rent, make New Zealand richer, go, but not New Zealand richer, actually the elderly people richer, not the young people. And then they will be gone. And then the next one will come until they understand where they came, and then they will go away, and then the next will come. And then the cycle will repeat again and again. So again, a lot of you blaming the migrants, but actually the migrants also the victims of this system. Because again, immigration initially the system that's supposed to not to close holes and make boomers richer, it's supposed to answer a specific professional need in the country that the locals can't fulfill. But there is also true in that the locals will prefer not to enrich the boomers because they want their own house. But they can't get into the house because the housing are too high. And all the policies that you have today are made to keep this situation to be. And if you can see projection for population, we will see that the projection that immigration will just go and continue, and the Ponzi scheme will continue to evolve more and more, and the housing prices will go up and up. That's in Australia and that's in New Zealand, and that's the sad reality of the things. So if we understand that we have conflict of interest with the elderly people, we can kind of make our own mind, because even if all the young people will leave from here, again, immigration is the one thing that will save the elderly people. So most of those, they will be fine. But you as young people, all the circumstances and conditions are actually against you, especially men. Jobs, housing, finding a partner. And of course, social cohesion and all the mental health and loneliness, that's just, that's just parts of that as well. One of the reasons we have all these things. So, dear men, just have a thought about the situation. And I'm talking more about men because, again, women these days, especially the young ones, also favoring from this system, because, again, the women have abundance of choice from men, so they can choose some men that also belong to the family of the boomers, that they have the houses and the financial stability, but also women can earn their own money even better than the men. So the main losers of this situation are actually young men. Though these are the people that are losing the most from this situation, young men. But not everything lost. If you understand that you are in a very losing position, you can do something about it. The problem is when you lie to yourself and hope things will improve. But the next 10-20 years, things doesn't look to improve. And I explain you why. Because you have conflict of interest with people that are in position of power. And that's the people who are older than you 20-30 years. Alright? Stay strong. It's time for you to create life according to your rules. CLATYR. Create life according to your rules.